2026 Relationship Math, written and narrated by Peter J. Merrick. The other morning, I was sitting at my favorite coffee spot in downtown San Diego near the harbor. It is one of those modern coffee places where everybody looks like they are either launching a startup, recovering from a divorce and building a personal brand, or trying to heal childhood trauma through expensive espresso and motivational podcast. For 35 years, I have worked in the financial planning profession. I have watched individuals build fortunes, lose fortunes, inherit fortunes, and absolutely vaporize fortunes because somebody attractive gave them attention at the wrong point in their life. I have seen business owners negotiate million-dollar contracts with the emotional discipline of Navy SEALs, then destroy 20 years of financial planning because a woman at Pilates called them emotionally safe. I have seen individuals spend 6 months reviewing the fine print on a commercial lease, then move in with somebody after 3 margaritas, 1 rooftop dinner, and a weekend in Scottsdale. But in 35 years, I had never once heard anybody in my profession calculate the true financial and emotional mathematics of modern relationships the way I overheard that morning. And honestly, it was one of the funniest, most brutally honest, and strangely profound conversations I have ever heard in public. At the table beside me sat 2 men. One was around 60 years old, calm voice, black coffee, no sugar. The type of man who looked like life had repeatedly hit him with a shovel until eventually he stopped arguing with reality and just started documenting it. Across from him sat a younger guy around 35, sharp haircut, nice watch, own business, no children, still optimistic enough to believe attraction alone could overpower mathematics, biology, inflation, family court, and human nature. The younger guy was talking about moving in with a single mother of 2 children and eventually marrying her. Now, before everybody starts emotionally stretching for a fight online, relax. This article is not about attacking single mothers. Some are extraordinary individuals. Some blended families become beautiful success stories. This is simply me recounting one of the funniest and most brutally honest conversations I have overheard in years. The younger guy was smiling while talking about her too. You could tell he genuinely cared about her. The older man listened quietly while stirring his coffee like a man preparing to explain why civilizations collapse. Then he leaned forward and said something that immediately got my attention. I'm going to give you the real math, both the financial and emotional cost of your decision, because nobody in society is going to tell you honestly. At that point, I completely stopped pretending to work. The younger guy leaned in like Joe Rogan was about to explain elk meat and masculinity. The older man said quietly, "When I was young, I married a single mother. I loved her deeply. I do not regret loving her. But if I had understood the actual arithmetic involved, I would have at least gone into it like I was buying a business instead of rescuing somebody from emotional bankruptcy because she smelled good and laughed at my jokes." I nearly inhaled my coffee. Then the older guy started breaking down the numbers with the seriousness of a forensic accountant investigating a cryptocurrency scam. Housing, he said. You're not renting an apartment anymore. You are opening a small refugee program. The younger guy laughed nervously. The older guy did not. You are going from a peaceful 1-bedroom condo to a 3-bedroom netto operation with backpacks, Amazon boxes, Stanley cups, LED lights taped around bedroom ceilings, and 1 child crying because somebody replied to their TikTok with a skull emoji. I already knew this conversation was elite. Then came the actual math. Additional housing costs over 10 years, potentially $120,000. Food, another $72,000. Utilities, transportation, school supplies, sports, camps, healthcare, vacations, clothing, birthday parties, and random school fundraising campaigns, apparently requiring the GDP of a Scandinavian country. The older man looked him directly in the eye. Brother, by the time this thing is done, you are around $415,000 deep raising children who already have a biological father. The younger guy blinked twice like his soul needed a software update. Then came one of the funniest lines I have ever heard another man say in public. Children do not eat food anymore, the older man explained calmly. They erase food. You will spend $500 at Costco on Sunday, and by Wednesday all that remains is almond milk, one expired yogurt, and an emotional support pickle. At this point, I was no longer capable of professionalism. Then he moved to transportation. You are not driving a car anymore. You are operating a mobile charging station full of hockey bags, forgotten iPads, wireless earbuds with no matching case, leaking Starbucks cups, and one French fry permanently welded under the seat from the first Trump administration. The younger guy laughed harder now, but then the older man lowered the hammer. Do you know what the real cost is? He asked quietly. The younger guy shook his head. Opportunity cost. The older man explained that if the same $415,000 were invested over time at a reasonable rate of return, it could become well over $500,000. Freedom money, retirement money, living on a beach in Portugal, posting life quotes on LinkedIn money. Then he leaned in and said something so profound I honestly wished I had recorded it. Men do not run spreadsheets when they fall in love. Testosterone is basically nature's way of disabling Excel. That line deserves federal protection. Then he added something that nearly killed me. A man will negotiate a business acquisition for 8 months, hire lawyers, accountants, consultants, read every line twice, and then move in with somebody after 2 espresso martinis and a weekend in Tulum. Even the barista stopped steaming milk. Then the older man shifted from money to sex. This was where the entire conversation became legendary. Sex might technically be free, he explained, but historically it has been one of the most expensive financial decisions a man will ever make. The younger guy burst out laughing. The older man continued, modern psychology studies show that attraction dramatically lowers risk assessment and long-term decision-making. In plain English, horny men become financially delusional. I almost blacked out. Then he added, a rational man will spend 3 weeks reading Google reviews before buying an air fryer. But after good sex, he is suddenly ready to co-sign emotional mortgages with somebody he has known for 4 months. At this point, even nearby tables were pretending not to listen. Then came another masterpiece. The most expensive phrase in the English language is not, I need a lawyer. It is, she understands me. I physically had to look away to stop laughing. Then the older man shifted from money to time. This was where things became terrifyingly accurate. You think you are entering a relationship, he explained. You are actually accepting a middle management position at a startup called Other People's Children Incorporated. I nearly died laughing. He explained how life slowly becomes organized around school pickups, soccer schedules, dance recitals, forgotten lunches, emotional meltdowns, homework, and helping a 10-year-old build a volcano at 11 p.m. because apparently baking soda science projects now determine admission into Stanford. You know how much freedom you are going to have? The older man asked. The younger guy shrugged. None. Saturday morning no longer belongs to you. Your life becomes 12 straight years of somebody yelling your name through a bathroom door while you are just trying to experience 45 uninterrupted seconds of silence. Again, every parent reading this knows he was not entirely wrong. Then the older man lowered his voice and the conversation shifted again. You will never be first priority. The younger guy stopped, smiling. The children come first, always. Then her stress, then her career, then her anxiety, then the dog. You are somewhere around the emotional importance level of the Wi-Fi router. I physically had to turn away so they would not see me laughing. But then came the line that hit the hardest. The biological father still has authority, while you get responsibility. That sentence just hung there. The older guy explained that the ex-husband remains permanently woven into the relationship through pickups, birthdays, graduations, text messages, and sports schedules, school decisions. and random emotional chaos arriving at 10:43 p.m. on a Tuesday night. You financed the Netflix subscription, he said quietly, but another man still has executive producer credits. The younger guy stared into his coffee like it had betrayed him personally. Then came the single greatest line of the entire conversation. You are going to spend $400,000 to become the assistant manager of another man's bloodline. I almost fell out of my chair. The older guy admitted that some stepfathers are heroic men and some blended families genuinely work beautifully. But he also said society often shames men for asking practical questions before making emotional decisions. Modern culture tells men that questioning the arrangement makes you toxic, he explained. Meanwhile, nobody asks whether the arrangement makes mathematical sense. Then he moved into something every older man eventually understands: fatigue. You're going to spend years financing a household while still being treated like a long-term Airbnb guest. That line was so painfully accurate, I almost felt guilty laughing. Then he explained how many men slowly become emotionally exhausted because they are constantly providing while never fully feeling like they belong. You can pay for braces, therapy, Disney Plus, hockey camp, unlimited data plans, family vacations, Sephora gift cards, and organic blueberries flown in from Peru. And after the breakup, legally have fewer visitation rights than the DoorDash driver. Dark? Absolutely. Funny? Painfully. Then the younger guy quietly asked the question every man eventually asks. So why do men still do it? The older man smiled sadly. Because loneliness is powerful. Because men want love. Because dating apps make everybody feel like damaged products in an online liquidation sale. Because by their 30s and 40s, many men think this is the only deal left on the lot. Because hope makes human beings terrible accountants. That line honestly stayed with me. Then the older man delivered the final line before both men stood up to leave. Every choice in life has a cost. Marriage has a cost. Divorce has a cost. Freedom has a cost. Loneliness has a cost. Children have a cost. Peace has a cost. But it does not matter whether you read the fine print or not. Eventually, life still sends the invoice. That line stayed with me the entire day. As I walked out toward the San Diego harbor, I realized the conversation was not really about single mothers at all. It was about adulthood, about consequences, about understanding that attraction does not magically remove arithmetic. And after listening to that conversation for nearly an hour, I have to admit, for many men, the math simply does not add up. Every choice in life carries positives and negatives. Wisdom is not avoiding every mistake. Wisdom is honestly calculating the cost before signing the contract. Because whether we read the fine print or not, life eventually requires payment anyway. Peter Merrick, A.K.A. Old Fart, a tragic romantic.